tens of Mark 22 and the Moldaton united together in order to prepare this preparation for the lesson. The topic of our preparation is the day of the Lord and the night of the Lord, because this is one of the most important topics that form the essence of our work. We know that both the rooster and the bat await the day of the Lord, but the bat has no eyes to see it. Therefore, we shouldn't ask that the Creator will be revealed to us and we will see him, but ask for faith, because faith is the eyes. If we will unite in the 10 and we will have faith above reason, then we will see that there was always the day of the Lord. So let's connect with this request with our friends in the 10, that we will see it. Right now in the lesson, writes letter 24. You must always stand guard all day and all night when you feel a state of day, or when you feel a state of night. We say to the Creator, yours is the day and yours is also the night. Thus the night. 2. The darkness of the night comes from the Creator to men's favour. 2. As it is written, day to day utters speech, and night to night expresses knowledge. It follows that you must awaken the heart of the friend until the flame rises by itself. By that you'll be rewarded with awakening the love of the Creator upon us. Again, you must always stand guard all day and all night. When you feel a state of day or feel a state of night, we say to the Creator, yours is the day, and yours is also the night. Thus the night 2, the darkness of the night, comes from the Creator to men's favour. 2. As it is written, day to day utters speech, and night to night expresses knowledge. Follows that you must awaken the heart of the friends until the flame rises by itself. I that you will be rewarded with awakening the love of the Creator upon us. We go to an active workshop. Question: how can I in every state, day or night, succeed in awakening the hearts of the friends until the flame rises by itself? How can I in every state, day or night, succeed in awakening the hearts of the friends until the flame rises by itself? We should always start with the presumption that we must be in our route for each other. We depend on each other. Our whole spiritual path is in strengthening and rising. No matter what we feel, we always advance, and we should give this example to each other all the time. No matter what we feel, it is truly so. We can see that we are always rising. Is this metaphor we're like pistons in a car. One is up, one is down, but the car always goes forward, and that's our goal, to maintain the greatness of the goal of the Creator of the 10. That's what cares for and protects all the friends. That's the route between us. Yes, and the most important thing between us is the avat to be responsible for each other, that I have to care for the needs of every friend, whatever he needs in order to advance, no matter what states I go through. I simply have to pray to the Creator more that he will help us, and we need to be happy, joyful, that we have a place to sit and read books that speak of the truth from our great teachers, our beloved teachers together. Yes, indeed, it's a place from which we can borrow, we can draw forces, and there comes our ability to truly demand the light, and it truly develops within us this place where we can rise above all of the light and darkness, as he said. And this is what we should now truly work on. The greatness of the goal, the importance of the goal, must be so strong that it's stronger than the state of night and the state of day, and that it always gives us direction, that surrounds us with greatness and importance, and that then aim us correctly at the goal that's above everything. And on this depends our ability to draw the light, as we also said yesterday, that he actually exists in the connection between us, and he gives us the elevation. Silent workshop. Let's ask the Creator to give the friends strength to work for his sake. Let's ask the Creator to give the friends the strength to work for his sake. Silent workshop. Keet, Shalom. Hello friends. The holiday of Hanukkah is over. Therefore, studying today in the first part of the lesson, we will come back to study from the series about work above reason. Today, we will connect to a lesson from November 18, 2020, continuing with excerpt 23 from the document with excerpts about work with faith above reason, please. We are in a lesson on the topic of the work in faith above reason. We will read selected excerpts. We are in excerpt number 23. You can find the study material by clicking the book icon on the vote system, and you can ask questions on carper.tv. Relevant questions may be aired. Yesterday throughout the day, I was following two phenomena. If I think about myself, how much I can be connected to the goal and to the group through the group too. The goal, how much does that help me? And how much does it help me if I think this way about the friends, about how much they will be connected to the goal and I care for them? That is what is more beneficial. What is more important? What is stronger? Connecting me to the path so that I can truly not disconnect from it. Be there, I ask, that the friends will not disconnect from the goal, or I'm concerned that they will not be disconnected from the goal, or I'm concerned that they will hold me so that I will not disconnect from the goal. So then it turns out that, well, there are times for this, there are times for that. However, in truth, it's more important that I will care for them, because my concern is then inside of them, and also I'm aiming them, pushing all of them together. I'm responsible for them. How do we feel that? How do we check that? To what extent I sometimes discover myself that I'm completely disconnected from the goal, disconnected from the study, disconnected from connection, and simply thrown out in this world. And when I start searching, I do not discover what I can get hold on. How can I reach back to the right connection so that I can feel myself that I'm oriented, that I'm in some connection with spirituality? But I'm confused, dazed, and with respect to spirituality, I seemingly have no thoughts, no emotions. And later on, when I do find some connection with the friends, I think about it, I read or hear something, then I start to receive joy and confidence that I'm there together with everyone, and everyone is holding me, and I'm devoted to them, and that I discover that I depend completely on the group. I depend on the group, so much so that simply without the group I cannot be in any spiritual state. And to the extent that I have a feeling that I'm simply lost, they forgot about me, they left me alone, so then I don't exist at all. I'm not on a path or anything. I'm just in midair to the extent that I feel this way, and to the extent that I feel why I'm connected, and I'm together with them, and I have joy and I have confidence. To the extent that the gap between these two states is greater, it is a sign that I am advancing. As I think David writes, you hit your face. I would be alarmed. I was alarmed. When the Creator hides his face, the person also loses the clay, and also the light. We're talking about high degrees, but nevertheless, this is what he feels, and the person feels that, that's it. He is falling into the abyss, into a place of darkness, and if he connects with the group once again, then again he has joy and confidence, and a good correct feeling. So then it is truly like a baby. That's, if he's attached to the mother, he feels good, and if he's by himself, then he feels bad, and it's a good feeling. It is a good feeling. It's a feeling with which we are truly beginning to become babies in spirituality, which is already spirituality. It's already a special state when we are already connected with the group, that is, connected to our soul, and also to the light inside of the soul. Bit by bit it will be revealed to us, and my whole confidence and my joy will be not out of myself that I feel something I'm there, I understand, but only out of the fact that I'm connected with the friends. I get hold of them just like the baby gets hold of the mother, and down together with them as much as I can give to them, as much as I can receive from, and on this mutual connection my entire spiritual life depends. So it's connection from that. We feel it as a darkness, helplessness, and connection to the group would give me the full confidence and light and joy. If we feel this way, let's say before the preparation for the lesson, when I'm not yet connected with the group, and after I mean the preparation, and I get into the lesson, so as much as the gap between the state before and the state after is greater, more respected, I'm closer and closer to the goal. I hope that we will find out these things more and more, and we will be in the preparation for the lesson in such a way that we will feel how much the state before the lesson, before the preparation, and the state after the preparation They are extreme, in greater darkness, and also with more light as the advantage of light out of darkness. And we will see our progress in such a way. Then confidence, joy, we will have it not egoistically, but to the opposite. I will feel myself that I by myself I'm nothing, zero, if I'm not connected to the group, but I'll have all the confidence and joy out of being connected, and then I have everything. If I connect that I'm by myself, I'm truly in darkness. I'm a zero. Well, let's hope that we will amplify these sensations, because those are preparations for the revelation of their Creator. Yes, I also went through a certain path too. Today in the morning started from zero, and then from thinking of the friends I started to gradually pray for them, and then at the end of preparation you come to a state of joy and confidence. How can I continue this feeling now into the lesson? Not just enjoy it, but I also enjoy it. Yes, but my enjoyment is that in that I through the society get confidence and foreign power, and then with the confidence and power that I receive from the society, now I see what is important for me. What is important for me is the society. This is my soul, the general key, the tense field, in which I discover all of the spiritual reality, and then I act in order to strengthen this clay. So I asked myself, what can I do in order for me to live in this clay first of all, permanently, that I will not disconnect from it, not in light, not in darkness, in all of the different states that I will discover in this clay, all kinds of different states, that everything is replaced and everything there keeps changing being, and I feel it as my spiritual life. So in them I will have a sense, and this sense and the revelation of the Creator out of that, because He is inviting these states and He is giving me the possibility to be involved in it, and this is how we will advance. But how do you pass it on to the friends? Especially now in the lesson, we have like certain kind of language now. I can't actively connect with them. First of all, in the thought. First of all, in the thought, in whatever you do, think out of the group, that you are a part of it, and you would like to promote them, and how can they advance together with you, and in such a mutual way you're holding each other. They're also thinking, and not far from you. It's not only you in the group, but also everyone is in it to some extent, each one according to his point in the heart, but all in all those impressions. When we connect them together, by that we reach a sufficient impression, distinction between light and darkness, between lack and confidence in the group, between the right yearning for the Creator, the right passion in order to give Him contentment out of the connection between us. And this is how we advance. We build the clay. Our clay is a clay of sensation. It's not the intellect. This is why it says it's not the wise who studies. In what situation we lose the clay, and in what situation we lose the light? Or is it the same? I can't feel the difference between the clay and the light, because all in all we get it as one thing. If there is no light, then there's no clay, and if there's no clay, then there is no light. And it only depends on how we define what is the light inside of the clay, the degree of our ascent above reason. That is the clay, the degree of my feeling in connection with everyone and with the Creator. This is the light. We will talk more about it. BT6. How can we improve our preparation before the lesson? Yes, it is preferable that we improve the preparation before the lesson, so that we will feel how much before the preparation we were in the feeling of darkness, lack of confidence, lack of orientation, in terms of our connection with the others, our thoughts, our intentions, and inclination. So it wasn't really quite spiritual towards the group and the Creator. I was thinking about myself, about my feeling, and it's not that my feeling stems out of me being a tear to them, supporting them, that I'm happy about them. So here are the scrutinies that are being more and more disconnected from myself, from my ego, and more connected to the ten and to its common purpose. So there has to be a feeling and a discernment of what I achieved, where I was before the preparation. Let's say half an hour before the lesson, we connect for 15 minutes in our groups, each one in his group, and another 15 minutes we are in a general preparation of all of the groups that have already prepared themselves, each and every one of them. Between them, each group, after 15 minutes of preparation, they feel themselves pretty much as one body, as one man in one heart, and then all of these groups where each one of them is already as one. They come together, and then we reach the beginning of the lesson truly as one group 110, all of us together. Well, it happens sometimes it doesn't. But the effort towards this direction is that something we have to do. Many times we don't get into the lesson that way. Sometimes the scrutiny of where we are, what's happening extends through the whole lesson. Well, the preparation needs to be this way. Nevertheless, a lesson can be about how to advance these themes, how to study them, to delve into them. Maybe that is the topic of the lesson. But it is desirable that before the lesson we will already position ourselves as so that each one is connected to his 10 correctly, and he's there truly included in it. And all of the 10s also pretty much are connected. If they are not integrated together, then at least they connect and they feel themselves as a single body. Is there anything to improve technically? The actions we do before the lesson. In terms of what we do today, reading together workshop, I now talk to the one who is in charge of our visuals on what we see on the screens. I was talking to Ali's Ms. and I told him I'm not pleased with those images that you see now. Let's say you see me, and next to me there are many groups. Right. That's now. But usually each one only sees his 10. Usually, right? Yes. But if you want, you can open the picture of the groups that everyone else but like you are seeing. We have this option. I have 3 big screens. So on one screen I see Gilead, who's the reader. Today, on a second screen I see all the groups. Well, not everyone, but as much as they can put in there. Show everyone what I see on the second screen. Okay, that's what I see on the second screen, and then I choose which 10 or who's going to ask out of this screen. And those that I choose, I see them on the third screen. No, not this. Let's say yes. Let's say I chose now Duddy from PT6, right? So this is the third screen. So I have 3 screens. Sometimes even that third screen, which is actually common to everyone. Sometimes they split it. I don't do it. They do it so that I see, let's say, myself and the group that I talk to. Well, now they're showing me the North America groups. So, I don't know. It seems to me that it's very important for us to see all of the groups. Well, not everyone. We can't put all the groups in there, but at least what they're showing us now. And on this background, I can already see the group or the person who's talking right now. Let's say Duddy, that we now talk to her. So we need to think about how do we make it so that this visual form will give me maximal connection to the worldly. It's very important, and the connection is through seeing. This, nevertheless, is our primary sense. Seeing, hearing, sensing, smelling, and touching. Not this way. Well, it's impossible. It's the whole world. But that too, it's good to see how much we're all there. Well, in short, think about it, discuss it. Just to say technically, the friends are reminding me that there is a link bbcly one where everyone can open in his screen or in another screen if he has one to see the same picture that you are seeing. Just to mention that. bb.cl.1 that one. Can I continue? Yes, I wanted to ask this. How can everyone shorten the time from being invested in yourself to a point where you begin to be a part of the Clee that is building a part of the whole world? Clee by reading. I don't want to see images from yesterday. I don't want to be impressed from me seeing faces. I get up early. Let's say I get up a lot before 2:30 when the preparations begin. And I try to read something, as I used to do with Rabash. We would be reading something from Baram, and this way we would enter this inspiration. This is what I do. Besides this, well, I have an additional obligation. I feel myself responsible for the entire Clee for all of the students. So, I am truly under stress and preparing myself well. Before that I go to look at the broadcast. It's on the same floor where I am, and I see how everything is getting organized and people are, getting ready. And I also read I read the same passages that they prepared for us. Let's say today I was reading from the excerpts, number 60 something on that same document. But the most important, I'm saying it again, The most important is to see how you are impressed and you're becoming ready before the lesson with the excitement that you entirely depend on the society. And it's not that you depend on the society, but that too is egoistic, but rather how much you are devoted to them. You already disconnect from yourself and you try to be inside of them. And this actually is already the preparation to entering above reason with the lesson. How do you come out of your own clay and start living a different one? But for me, the work is easier than it is for you. Because I have an obligation, a duty. I must be connected to the world clay. I must be concerned about everyone. I'm afraid that I might not be able to function in such a way, and I will not give people what they're expecting. Well, for me, this concern is, let's say, out of my role, my duty, but in fact each and every one of us should be in this duty, and each one should be thinking about it, because we are all considered as one. We're equally important. I'm just the organizer, but with respect to the elevation of the group and connecting with the Creator. Each one has a point in the heart, and it is unique, and if you will not create contact for everyone with the Creator, then we won't have wholeness in our connection. We will not truly be adhered to the Creator. It depends on each and everyone who, as much as he creates his personal contact with the Creator, and through this contact is passing the connection from the Creator to everyone, and from everyone to the Creator. I want to ask about us. We don't have your role. I don't think that should make a big difference. However, for me, it's more of an administrative role. I have to be ready for it, and I have to, from this point, I have to pass the materials to you. But indeed inside, each one of us has the same role truly. So, still, if possible, I see that I used to run into the lesson with a different clique egoistically, and today it just doesn't work. I feel like I have to come with a different clique, otherwise I can't receive anything from the lesson. So how do you do that? How do you replace these vessels? I don't know. I can't get the method to do it. When you come before the thought, before the contact with the group, you feel yourself that you are lacking orientation. You're confused. You're foggy. You're not organized according to your thoughts and desires. You have no orientation or direction. Do you feel it? Of course. Total helplessness. Excellent, the more you'll have this feeling each and every day. Helplessness. Lack of connection. I have nothing. I do not belong. It is very good. It is very good. This is an egoistic form from which we start each day. A new portion of a new slice of our ego is revealed to us, with which we have to work. Now I make all kinds of efforts in order to connect with the group, and then I begin to receive from them, from the verses that we have to study. I begin to get an awakening, an inspiration, connection, and then I reach a state, like I said already, well in the beginning of my talking my word today, that I feel that I depend on the society, that I'm connected with them, that my connection with the Creator depends on them, it passes through them. Gradually I need to get a feeling saying that I don't have direct contact with the Creator, but only on the condition that I connect through them. And then I receive a connection with the Creator once I connect through them, and then that connection which I have achieved, now I can take whatever they need and also pass it to the Creator by myself. But at first it's only through them I begin to feel how I can reach to the Creator, and then I take their deficiencies and I serve them to the Creator through me, and that way I prepare myself before the lesson. How does this transition happen when you begin to, I don't know, and despite the resistance to connection, you just run to it each time? Because I feel myself, let's say, when I get up in the morning, I'm like an animal, a beast. I'm just a beast. I have nothing. I get up like this, even though I have all kinds of desires and thoughts, but it's all disorganized. It's all kinds of fluids. And then I have to arrange myself, as we talk now, as much as I feel myself that I am disconnected, emotionally, most importantly emotionally. Bit by bit I arrange my connection with the group through the texts, put the texts through thoughts. Usually, I immediately run to the excerpts that we have to study in the lesson. If these are excerpts that talk about connection with the Creator, faith above reason, all of these things, But usually this is how we start the lesson with such excerpts. And then we come to test or to the last generation. So that's it. Try and you will see how much this awakens you and how much there will be a gap between how you are before the preparation and after the preparation. This is considered that you're preparing the clay, and about the quality of this meaning, the gap between the beast in us and the Adam in us, that is before the preparation and after the preparation. This gap, we need to be concerned that it will be as great as possible, but it will happen to you. It will happen in each one more or less, but we're in it. We are already arranged. They don't want to show us where we are, so as to not to confuse us, and to leave for us more and more room for exertion. Thank you. Rav, our question is, when does preparation start? At 2:30 a.m. according to the Israeli time. If you're asking when, if you're asking me, according to the clock, then the preparation is always we are in the preparation, and in the study always. A person should always be preparing himself to exit a state and enter the next state always. The preparation, that's the deficiency, establishing the lack for spirituality so that it is as true as possible, so that we will depict spirituality as correctly as possible before us each time, of course, is according to our degree. However, the preparation is the creation, the preparation of the clay. It's the yearning, it's the form of the yearning, and therefore it's all done inside of the group. Look what it says in the Zohar. We should extract these passages from the Zohar about the preparation of the group of Rashbi, what they did, and how they wanted to kill one another before they started the preparation and the lesson, and how afterwards they would reach unbounded love connection between them, and then they discover all the upper light called the Zohar between them. They write about it. K2, no. What is happening? Okay, they have no connection, or the microphone is not working. I don't know. You need to prepare better to be organized. Can do it this way. Okay, let's go to the verses. Okay, we are in excerpt number 23. This is from Ramash. What is the meaning of the purification of a cow's ashes in the work? In faith, we should make 3 discernments. 1, for example, if a person gives to his friend $1,000 and the person accepts it, and he is completely sure and believes, since this man is my friend and a meticulous person, so if he gives this money, there must be $1,000 there, and there's no need to count. This is called faith below reason. In other words, he believes him because his reason does not object what it believes, meaning there's no contradiction between believing him and the reason. It follows that to him faith is below reason, and the reason is more important. That is, he believes him because reason does not object. However, if this is in contrast to reason, he will probably not believe. This is still not regarded as faith above reason. 2. He tells him, here is $1,000. The receiver counts it 3 times and sees that there is the stated amount there, and says to the giver, I believe you that there is that amount there, as you say. Certainly this does not count as faith. 3. He counts the $1,000 3 times and sees that $1 is missing, but he says to the giver, I believe you that there is 1,000 there, even though the reason and the intellect say that there is less here. He says that he believes. This is called true above reason. We talked about it a few times. If there are still any questions about it, go ahead. Hebrew 10. Yes. Thank you, Rob. How can a person live and stay in deficiency? I don't understand a question. If he sees that there's only $1 and he lacks the rest of it, how can he have the deficiency and advance and live that way? The most important is he will go along with the group. And as for his length and his advancement, it will happen. Everything will work out. That's it. If he doesn't yet have such discernments, within reason, below reason, above reason, these 3 options, then he should simply go along with the group, and bit by bit he will also receive from them the intellect and the emotion for how to see himself in the right way. PT20 diet. How can we say that? Can we say that reason is the level of above? Reason is the level of connection I feel in the 10. That's not what it's about. Nope, it's not the degree of connection in the 10. The degree of connection in the 10 is just the preparation for determining faith below, within or above reason. We can't hear him well. We only hear half of your words. Where's your microphone? Again, he counts, and he sees he has the exact amount. But in truth, he doesn't have that amount. So, why is he lying? He wants to be in the same view with that person who give him the money and not believe what he sees, but rather believe what the other person who gave him the money says. This is considered that he is going above his own reason and is going along with the reason of the friend. Let's say it's a kind of an exercise. With which reason do you live? We get from the environment all kinds of views, all kinds of foundations. Think this way, talk about that way, etc. And out of that we build our own foundation to which we look at the world. That is the world establishes for us our view, our reason. It's not no longer my reason. It's what I get from everyone. They inject it into me, and out of that I already look at the world in order to get rid of whatever form, whatever outlook at the world they established in me by the different media and all of my educators, and reach a state where I would like to see the world not the way that I do now, looking through their eyes, hearing through their ears, and through all of their senses. I would like to reach a new sense, my sense. How will I do that? About this? It says they have eyes, but see not. They have ears, but hear not. Whereas I truly need to determine for myself a new approach towards the world, so that I will see the world in a way that I'm disconnected from it egoistically, that I'm disconnected from whatever the world is filling up my egoistically with establishing it in such a way I want to reach a different vision, a different outlook, a different perception of reality, which is considered that I'm going to perform actions of faith above reason, that I would like to ascend above my own view. My reason, it's called above reason. What exists above reason is called faith. That way I reach a state where I will see the spiritual world, eternal world, the Creator, and for that I don't have to perform some other actions besides what we're talking about together, and we want to do it in the group. Is that clear? Okay, time. PT 22. Still many times we are glued to our emotions and we have to do actions mechanically, but still I tell myself no, it's not real, it's not what I feel. What's the question? How to overcome that? Well, overcome it by clinging to the group, then you'll overcome it. 12. Is it correct to say that the missing dollar is a flaw I see in the friend and I correct myself nevertheless? Well, of course you see that it is missing, but that's in your eyes. There is another level through which you can relate to life, not according to your level, not according to they have eyes, but see not, they have ears, but hear not, but rather according to a different kind of seeing and hearing, where you are going in a form of pesto, in a form where you are elevating yourself to their view, the reason of the group, the reason of the Creator. Then you will see a different reality. And of course it is against the true reality of now, against your own senses. But this is how you reach a new world, a new galaxy, truly a new universe. Otherwise you cannot. Otherwise you'll just stay within your beast. And this is how it will keep on rolling. Latin 7. Hello, Rob. Thank you. What exactly does it mean to believe? To believe? Well, it's not the way people in our world accept the view, the reason of another person who is telling them something, and they don't see it with their eyes. They don't hear it with their ears. It's not with all of their 5 senses, but rather they just get an impression that somebody else had from something and he passes it on to them. Well, usually by speaking or reading a book or something. It doesn't matter. That is called faith. Faith means that I accept the view of somebody else, even though for him too it can be not reason, meaning not facts. That is called faith. We are talking about faith above reason in a totally different way. Not faith the way the people use that, and not reason the way the people use that. Faith for us means the force of bestow, and reason is what I now discover, see or get from others, that this is what I have, and above it I build a new level of the perception of reality. That is, I now want to see reality in a different way. relate to it in a different way. This is called faith above reason. That is, I want to relate to reality, not the way that my senses are talking or showing it to me, but rather the way I hear it. I'm impressed. I'm inspired by the Kabbalists who are telling me about it, and they want to elevate me to a new level, a new perception, so that there are other Kim that are called the of, not the of, and through the of I'd like to see reality. That is through the Kli of the Bestower, like the Creator, the way that the Creator sees reality. This is how I would like to see reality. It is considered through the Kim of Biner, one, Mu one. This perception, seemingly, it is the opposite of how we are used to seeing the world, and clearly the fear comes out of that. Fear of becoming an abnormal person. Insane a person has to work and educate his children, etc., etc., so I don't understand where inside one approach fit in with the other. How do they complement each other? I saw many Kabbalists, and in our world there are many people who are in faith above reason in little degrees, small degrees, but it doesn't matter. Still, they're in it, and it doesn't prevent them from being in this world and doing all their businesses. Like writes about the teacher who taught him, and then he discovered that he passed away, that he was a known merchant in the city and in the world, but no one knew that he was a Kabbalist, and how he appeared to Balism. These things are not connected. It's two levels. A person exists on both, and one doesn't hinder the other, and doesn't confuse him. Also, now when we don't yet have faith above reason permanently, only here and there maybe some of us have that feeling that we rise to a new perception of reality through bestow, through Biner. It's still not much. We'll advance, and you'll see that it doesn't pose any disturbance. On the contrary, it's a necessity for all people in this world to reach a state of seeing reality through the force of bestow, to see reality the way the force of bestow, the Creator, sees it. In this way, we will live and exist. This is new matter, it's new perception, and it's new reality, to the point that the reality of this world completely disappears from our perception, and we all rise to perceive the spiritual reality. We need to understand that if we were built differently, we'd see the world differently. It's not that the world has some reality, that this is how it is. It's how we depict this reality in our own perception. So, understand that if we had other senses, we would perceive the world in a different way. That's what the wisdom of Kabbalah wants, to show us how to accept, receive the true reality, which is the abstract light, that paints different shapes in the person, so we can change the qualities of the person, and then the upper light will show us all kinds of different states or different worlds, and we will then understand how and why we exist. We come to a state where we can change reality by changing our qualities. The upper light is abstract light. It fills constant, and it fills all of reality. And if we can change our qualities, we will see a different reality each time. So throughout the 125 degrees, this is happening until we probably come to perceive the complete reality, which is the complete upper abstract light filling all of the Kli that is with it in similarity. I'll phrase it this way. I understand that the world is my inner system, and I understand that at least a part of the system that I see exists egoistically. I don't understand how I can take part in this system when I'm not corrected. How can I function if I will move away from the egoistic approach? You will see how much one thing does not disturb the other. You're going to be in two worlds, and it's not like in one world you will be a thief and in the other one you'll be a righteous. But you're going to see how one does not harm the other, does not disturb the other in the meantime. But now all of humanity also is going through stages of ascension from this world to the spiritual world. You're going to see soon how perceptions will change in people, their attitudes. You'll see how we talk differently about matter, about the planet, about our life. You'll see it's difficult to explain this if a person is not even somewhat in these qualities. Try to acknowledge this, but it's not that. You're already starting to play with it. No, okay. Far, you just explained, and I understand that. It's individual work of the person in the morning when he builds for himself a new outlook and your perspective in that Context: I don't understand what the 10 is. What is it? For what is it? The 10 is the clear where I feel the spiritual world. Just step outside of your ego. How do you perceive the spiritual world? If you're not going to a state of faith, to a state of devotion, to a state of exiting yourself, then where are you going? Specifically, because you have a 10 and you integrate in them. By that you prepare yourself to feel, in the 10 to feel the spiritual world, to the extent that you rise above your Italy 4, which is these qualities can reach us, the faith about reason. There are no such qualities. If a person has a point in the heart, and the Creator attracts him, and brings a person into the group and tells him take it, takes the person, puts the person's hand on the good faith, and the person accepts it and tries, then he comes to a state where he builds for himself in the group. In the 10, he builds the key to feel the spiritual world, to feel the Creator. Latin 6. Is there a point of a limit to how the friend can feel the deficiency of the 10 in order to bestow to the 10? I don't know what you mean by that point of boundary. There's no boundary in bestow. You do as much as you can. Is there some innovation, some novelty in the perception of reality where we feel this darkness? Not as a clar, but something that I want to reject. I don't understand what he's saying. Maybe he's saying it's right, but either translation, maybe I don't understand the question. These are not words that I'm using. Maybe it's the translator translating this way. I don't know. How do the new senses work and exist inside of us in this perception of reality through the force of bestow that we try to come to? That's where we establish and detect and find the new senses. There are senses of bestow. That's why the preparation for the lesson is so important. By that we develop the senses of bestow. LRS. If I see the results in the eyes of the group or in the eyes of the friends, and then I'm certain, I'm confident, like with this, I didn't understand. With this example, with the $1,000, if the friend gives me and he's confident that in the envelope there is $1,000, I check and I don't find $1,000 there. But the most important is that he, the friend, is as certain about it. He's confident. I don't understand what you're saying. He gave me an envelope with $1,000 and he says this is $1,000, so he knows it's $1,000. Now I take it and I know that the friend knows that this is $1,000. Now I can count, or I may not count one of the options. If I count and I see $1,000, that's called faith within reason. If I count and I don't see $1,000, now I have two options. Either I accept this and trust him that it's $1,000. Nevertheless, this is called faith above reason, above the fact of my account. And if I don't test, if I don't count, and I trust him that it's $1,000, that's called faith below reason. Sorry, before that I wanted to say below reason. Anyway, these are the options I have, so I don't make a calculation of whether what he gave me, he believes it or not. That doesn't matter. I'm not talking about his attitude. His attitude ends with him giving me an envelope and saying there's $1,000 there. That's it. PT3. What is the lesson from these $1,000? Because we always distinguish between spiritual work towards the Creator and the revelation of the Creator, not with respect to businesses of this world. It doesn't matter. It's about a fact. Each and every corporeal fact. How can I rise above it to a spiritual state? This is called faith above reason. So in order to be in faith above reason, should I count or not count? You need to have reason in order to be in faith above it. However, this is above reason. Again, except 24. We must believe in the sages who tell us that all our work, however we work, if the person attributes the work to the Creator, even if it is in utter loneliness, the Creator enjoys it. The person should be happy that he can do things while in a state of loneliness. A person should tell himself that the Creator enjoys this work, which is entirely above reason. Reasonably thinking, this work is not considered work, meaning an important act that the Creator enjoys, yet he believes in the sages who told us that the Creator does enjoy it. However, this is above reason. meaning that we don't have in our vessels, in the mind, the heart, no proof that we are in contact with the Creator. We don't feel anything in our senses. Rather trying to carry out the advice of the sages who told us to do this. We should be happy about this, and truly, we don't want anything else, anything more. It's very opposite to our vessels of reception. It's very not characteristic of the will to receive. But what can you do? If we have to rise from the degree of to the degree of to bestow, then how can we see our vessels of reception that we are in right now, how these vessels feel? If we rise to the quality of bestow in our vessels of reception, we don't feel anything, not in our minds, not in our emotions, nothing. It's like we're just empty and dumb, ignorant. But what is holding us? What's holding us is that we are carrying out what is written in the books of the Qolists. This is called faith in the sages, meaning what they do we follow, and I don't care what else happens. They have eyes and see not, they have ears and hear not. I don't trust my own senses. If I come to such a state, then from here on I have an entrance to spirituality. From here I begin to work with the vessels of bestow, Florida. Whenever I feel that there's something that's against my reason, is this precisely the Creator trying to get me to go above reason? Yeah, of course. Everything is designed by the upper force. There's nothing here that we actually do on our own. We're like kids in a kindergarten, and the kindergarten nanny organizes us and orchestrates all the actions. We don't do anything on our own, but to the extent that we nullify ourselves to the actions of the Creator upon us, we come closer and closer to what is called the work of the Creator. It's His work, not our work. Our work is just not to disturb Him, to detach from ourselves as much as possible, to turn ourselves into people who are willing to accept His providence no matter what happens. He tells us, connect, we connect. He tells us to try to rise above reason. We do that. With that, we have to carry out things in this world in our vessels. We do that, so we start dividing ourselves to two worlds, where I am in bestowing as much as possible in faith above reason, and where I am in this world with my work, with my life, and within my reason. And this is how we want to build our observation on reality. So, living in two worlds. I feel this. All my work is to pray. All my effort is just to pray to the Creator to help me to go above reason. Yes, but to pray means that you are doing all kinds of preparations, and from that you're asking. You need to be clear on what you're asking. Just saying the words faith above reason is not going to help. You need to do all sorts of actions that are closer to spirit. I summarize the main things we heard in the lesson workshop. Well, there were many things. There was a nice definition of what is what. Does it mean above reason? That I want to relate to reality not according to my senses, but according to I'm impressed by the Kabbalists who want to show me reality through the vessel of bestow, through the vessels of Bina, faith above reason, work above reason. When I do follow what Kabbal, not to disturb the Creator, but by that I don't disturb Him, and we approach the work of the Creator, we become more equal in our attempts and our efforts. There are many details. The more we zoom in, we see that there are more details in everything that we are talking about. There was a very strong emphasis in the lesson also about the matter of preparation. Preparation for the lesson. How does a person prepare himself? The Creator's governance. How does the 10 prepare? How does the whole group prepare itself? How we should enter the lesson. It seems as though the society wants or is looking for the true correct form. The one that will be the most effective. We spoke about the opposition between the states, the disconnection in the darkness versus where we feel lost versus states where we return to the connection, to the confidence, and in the connection, the joy, the connection. Like a baby connected to his mother. We need to believe that the measure of our connection to the 10, the connection, and the 10 is what brings us to life each time. And when we check in the vessels of reception, we see that there we actually have nothing, no feeling, no knowledge about what spirituality is, no feeling of the Creator. We have to go with faith in the sages, with joy, and there is nothing that is more contradictory than to that than the will to receive. It certainly does not agree to go in such a way, but for that purpose we have the society. If we appreciate it, then apparently we can receive such importance that we will agree to walk in such a way and believe about reason, even though the reason is empty, and with joy that this is precisely how we advance in the most clean way towards bestow. We need to go exactly like that in faith, belief in the sages. The more we delve into it, we'll have a stronger feeling toward it, because the main thing is the feeling is not how I begin to think and analyze the situation, but rather how do I feel them. Faith above reason. We see that it is something which is the opposite of our natural desire, and therefore, indeed, we have such great help from the side of the sages, who show us how we should truly relate to reality and to everything that we feel, everything that goes through us. We have to go with faith in the sages, and on the other hand, to strengthen the faith, it is always through the society, through the 10, that by allying, by incorporating and attend, through our common work, we can truly strengthen this thing that alone is impossible. As everyone mentioned, it's the gap between the dissent, the disconnection, being in myself, a lack of confidence, detached, lost, and the other side that's connected to the 10, full of confidence, full of joy. Now these things, it's about the frequency. The higher it is, the faster we move between these states, and the preparation is all the time that the entire day we prepare for the lesson. Yes, we can achieve joy and confidence on the path only through the connection between us. Only in the connection between us we can start to feel the spiritual efforts. It's even funny, but the Creator gave us to do how the opposite. It is like Sarah that left when the Creator told her she's going to have a son when she's 90. But, nevertheless, she did have a son. The study of we'll read from Test Volume 1 Part 4, Inner Observation, Chapter 4 Item 64. Before we enter the study, let's hear Rob about the main topic in the lesson. It seems in words this way that now I begin to receive the pleasures, to feel them and feel in them also the pleasure that I give to the Creator, in truth. And this is how we depict that state, but to realize the essence of the action, it is better to do the following. Everything comes from the vessel. If I take my desire to enjoy my ability and understanding and everything, and I join it in the same direction outside of me, it is considered that I'm using the reflected light that comes from above downwards. It's just a sign that I'm using my coarseness in order to bestow. So we say that the light descends into the vessel, into the will to receive, but the intention is, the inclination is in the same direction towards the Creator, right? It's just joins to the same. The corsets also joins the same direction, even though we say from the pen below the light cascades, but the essence of the action is that I also the courses outside of me and bestow towards the Creator. I checked how much I have the true necessity, the willingness to work outside of me towards the Creator. I checked that I have the vapor that I truly want to push forward to give Him contentment. I add to it the coarseness. Accordingly, oh, it is true that I receive pleasure. In my course seemingly, we use the lights and the pleasures from above downwards. But in my intention, my action, I'm actually aiming outside of me towards Him. I seemingly take my coarseness out, and I turn it into refinement. We'll go to the lesson. You're asking me that the screen, you want to say that it comes from the light, but we don't learn that way. Everything, there is a reason. So I'm asking, who caused that we need to make a screen, which is considered that it is forbidden to receive, otherwise it would be a shell. So we have to make a screen to aim in order to bestow. Who was the cause? Who was the cause? The light. We saw that the light was shining in the world of everything was just fine. There was Kadasha to such an extent that we consider it as filling the whole of reality. So it follows that this vessel following the restriction, when we say that if it wasn't able to aim in order to bestow it, is no longer considered Kadasha. Who did that? Only the departure of the light, only the restriction. This is why we attribute who caused the screen to be there, the departure of the light, not the light. The light, we realize that the light actually was shining from the world of a soft in spirituality, and there was no disparity of form there. There was no discernment of up and down. So it turns out that what we call the screen which is considered up and down, who is the cause specifically the departure of the light called restriction. What is written in item 64, the beginning of the forming of the vessel, comes from the expansion and departure. Hence, every vessel must first have these two forces. Item 64. It is known that all the forces in the upper ones must be present in their lower ones. Hence, since the beginning of the forming of the vessel in mallet of straightness, which is the pay of the row of arc comes, because of the expansion of the light and its departure. This is what we learned from then on. Every vessel must first have these two causes, meaning the expansion of the light and its departure. No vessel can be formed in the worlds without them. What does he add here? We can interpret it simply as he says there, meaning every degree every. We learn there that there is a screen, and coarseness, it is simple there are other interpretations, we will see that later. Item 65. The substance of the vessel is the coarseness. This substance, what form should it take? Its form is, and the form is the screen. 65. Now we have thoroughly explained the fundamental substance and the form of the vessel, which are the coarseness of phase 4 called the will to receive, which is the substance, and the screen established in her, which would be to aim in order to bestow. This is the form from these two. All the kinds of vessels in general, and in particular cascaded in all 4 worlds, Abbey of Kadashir, where there are these two discernments, the will to receive, with the desire to bestow called the screen, as simply, in our world. Anyone who wants to receive something spiritual must also have these two things, the desire to receive spirituality and the desire to receive that will not have on it the form of in order to bestow. Do I have such a vessel? Then I can receive. I don't have such a vessel. How can I receive? There is no light without a vessel. This is why he says that this applies always in all of the degrees, in all of the phases. We've already talked about it many times. The Zohar gives a rule, the Holy Zohar, and my father would quote that. He says, he gives after the screen after the sin of the tree of knowledge 2 general rules, that the 3 impure shells were made. This was done after the shattering. There is a 4th shell, called the shell of Noah, which is half good and half bad. So there is a general and there is a particular, and we get confused about that. So first we should speak in general. The Holy Zohar says the following: the nations of the world, and the impure beasts and animals, and the birds, are extended in the 3 impure shells. And this is impossible to correct. That's one in the discernment of Israel. And the pure beasts and animals and birds, they come from the shell of Noah. They are half and half, meaning it's in the middle. There is the possibility of choice if we want. Then we can choose to bring all of it to be in Kadashir. That's one. This is in general. But there is the difference, that there is a difference. And then there is also the particular. What does it mean, particular? Every individual person incorporates the 70 nations and the discernment of Israel, the quality of Israel. So he says the following: Adam men, the source of that comes from the gates of Kadashir by men comprises 3 kinds of nefesh, is the nefesh of Kadashir, and the nefesh of the shell of Nogar, and the nefesh of the 3 impure shells. The neph of the 3 impure shells cannot be corrected, and the hint of that is that we have the foreskin and the circumcision, where we cut off the foreskin, which is called the 3 impure shells, and then we have the nefesh of Kadashir. If it is holy, then there's no need to correct. All of man's work is only in the nefesh of the shell of Noah. The choice applies. It's half good and half bad. Therefore, there is the world in general, which is considered that in general the impure shells pertain to the nations of the world, and shell of Noah is considered as the people of Israel, and every person includes the all of the 70 nations. He within himself has the 3 impure shells and the shell of Noah and of Kadashir. What does a person discover first? Is it every person according to his ability, or does he make a choice? This is why a person is told, if something is impure, you should not eat it. You shouldn't eat it because you cannot correct it. It will be corrected at the end of correction. So we can understand what is the permission, what is something which is permission. Things that are allowed with those things that are permitted, there's a choice. Either we can correct them to be in order to bestow, or we don't correct them, when there is also the nefesh of Kadasher in a person after the quality of the half of the shell of Noah is revealed, then the nefesh of Kadasher is revealed in him, which exists in him as a dot. He explains in the introduction that a dot is called a death, a black dot, and in the state of posterior, we cannot see it, only to the extent that he corrects within himself the shell of Noah, and the state of choice, then the nefer begins to shine in him. This is what he says. We talked about that dot, regarding that in this world it's in each and every person according to his quality. So there's a question. If we say that there was a restriction called the empty or vacant space, without any light, without any life in that place, and if we say that after the sin of the tree of knowledge, a place was formed where they want only to receive, and all of the created beings following the sin of the tree of knowledge were also created from this quality, which he calls nefesh, that comes from a beer of the keeper, a beer of the shell, in the aspect that this is how they were created back then. Then from where do they have life? If it is a vacant space, what does it mean, vacant space? There's no light. So the Ari says that from the shattering and from the sin of the tree of knowledge, holy sparks fell into the shells. This is called, in the words of the Ari, and in the words of the Zohar, it is called a very tiny illumination, a very fine light, which revives the shells to the extent of their necessity, so that they can exist since we need them, so that we will be able to correct them. Therefore, all of their livelihood comes from the sparks of Kadasher that fell into them. However, in part 12, we learned that this says there, if people sin, they add. So, they add additional forces. They draw additional forces, more lights, to the shells. Then, what is necessary for them, what they need in order to exist. So it's luxury. They add additional power to the shells. If they add additional powers to the shells, then they have more power to govern people. Now the second kind of what? Of vessels, is the reflected light that rises from the pay up and clothes the tensor field of direct light. He explains that in item 66. Item 66. The second kind of vessels is the reflected light that rises from below upward through the coupling by striking of the upper light with the screen established in the vessel of Malut, called the first look. We already talked about what does a look mean. It's the light of eyes. The light of is considered as looking. The eyes look. To what place does it look? To what place is it imparted? To Mahut, as we learn MHM, doesn't want to receive it. This is considered the screen which is established there. From the restriction on the measure of the upper light that the degree receives is dependent on and allotted by the measure of the reflected light that rises because of the coupling by striking in the screen. It is so because this reflected light connects and close the tensiphy of the direct light. It turns out that actually what he calls the second kind means that after the restriction, the second kind of vessels was formed, not that they can receive below, simply by the longing of the desire alone. This is how it used to be before the restriction, but after the restriction, a second kind of vessels appeared, meaning by the fact that I have a desire and craving to receive by that I cannot yet receive the upper light. Actually, it's to the opposite by revealing reflected light, which means that he doesn't want to receive unless he doesn't know by himself that he can aim in order to bestow. In order to bestow is called reflected. Like direct light means how the upper one wants to bestow to the lower one. Reflected light means the opposite, how the lower one, which is called below, wishes to bestow to the upper one to the extent that he wants to bestow to the upper one. To this extent he receives, and not more. It turns out that who links the upper light with the will to receive, so that he can receive it, so that he can receive this pleasure. What links them is a reflected light. The intention in order to bestow. If he has such a vessel, he can receive, meaning linking between him, between the upper light and the will to receive. This means that it's a different vessel than simply the desire to receive pleasure. There is none other. So who links them? The reflected light. This is why he calls it the second kind of vessels. 67. We now learned the light comes to Malhut of the row. In Malhut of the row repels it. and there is reflected light from malhut of the roe af. So now he comes and says that reflected light of the roe is not an actual vessel, so that with this reflected light he can receive the upper abundance, but rather the reflected light in the roe is considered the root of the vessels. 67. You must remember that all that is explained here in inner light regarding this matter of the clothing of reflected light on the tensophia of the roe, especially that this is not considered actual clothing. Why? As it ascends from below upward, meaning as resistance to clothing in the coarseness of the vessels. He doesn't want to receive it. Nevertheless, with this rejection, this reflected light expands the vessel of malhut of the into her and within her, and they become actual vessels of reception as we have elaborated on it in the inner light. I think it's clear we've already learned a lot about it following the calculation that malhut of the roe made of how much it can receive in order to bestow. This was in potential. Then he does the same thing in actuality. This is called expansion in actuality. This is why we always learn that the roe has 10 complete, which is not so in the goof. What is there? Doof. It's only an expansion from the malhut of the rosh. This is why malhut of the roe is called the kettle of the goof, meaning the entire goof has no more than malhut. Malhut that made a calculation. This malhut is now going to receive. That turns out that who are we talking about? Only about malhut. The third kind of vessels is the reflected light, that is inverted from the pit downward and close the tense field of the goof to the taboo. The third kind of vessel 68 is the one brought above that, the reflected light of the which is the above mentioned second kind, though it is not at all clothing in and of itself. It's still not receiving anything. It is nonetheless inverted and becomes an actual vessel of reception. This third kind, what we explain now, is always called the goof of the puff, and the above mentioned second kind a line, it's always called the of the. Let's read onward. The first kind you have to say before the restriction, the second kind the degree after the restriction, the third kind is the goof that extends from the after the restriction. Let's read here. Question. What are you asking? Here we learned that the vessel is called reflected light, and we learned the clay, the vessel you have substance, and the form the substance. The matter is of the person who studies. He enjoys more than all the pleasures of this world, and he wishes himself, I wish I will remain in this exalted state and this feeling all my life, all the days of my life, at least the very least, not less than that. This is called a vessel the goof enjoys. This is the first condition. If he has pleasure, then I wish to aim this pleasure from receiving. It's not what he wants to enjoy. Since the Creator wants to do good to the created beings, he wants the man to enjoy. That's why I enjoy that case. When can we talk about it? If there's the substance of pleasure, sometimes there's no substance of pleasure. You can do all those things. This is the substance. What is the form, then? Meaning that the vessel will be fitting, will be able to receive the condition of the wool to bestow. I can give you an allegory about this. A person goes into a furniture store and he sees a beautiful closet. He feels like having it. He tells the owner, I wish to receive this closet. Why? I feel like it. Why do I care? You know, if you will see that I will enjoy it, and I will give it to you. This person explained to me what are you enjoying from and the corporeal allegory. If you will pay me such and such, then it will be worthwhile for me to give it to you. It turns out, when can he actually receive this closet? With the desire and the longing. The owner doesn't want to give it to him. So what is the condition? Is to pay him, and he receive anything before that. If the main vessel is what he will pay. But as a person who's very rich, he works in a furniture store. He also likes this closet. The pleasure from the closet. Will he receive it? Even though he has all the conditions he can pay, he also need the longing, the yearning. That's what he says, that you need two conditions. One, that he should yearn for the pleasure, the feel that he can derive pleasure from it, see pleasure from it, and later, he says that he can also aim the pleasure he wants to receive in order to bestow to the owner, to the host. We need to start the item The fourth kind is the vessels from the taboo down, regarded as the tense field of reflected light. The reflected light that he's talking about has no definition. That's why we learned how many types of reflected light we have. We learned already. We learned about reflected light or not. Yes, 12 kinds of reflected light we learned about. What are we talking about? Typically reflected light means just like the red light comes from above, down, and the screen gives it doesn't want to receive and it reflects the light. This is the source of the reflected light. Turns out that direct light means the light that it drew, and the reflected light means what it rejects. Until we can say that, there is the reflected light that closed that receives it. Accordingly, why do we use the reflected light? It's named after the vessel. When it has that reflected light, it can receive number. Now he says the following in item 69. The fourth kind is the vessels below the taboo, regarded as dense of reflected light, that have no direct light. Who am I speaking of? The light or the vessels? I speak of the light, meaning the vessels don't have direct light. But what light do they have? Look inside. Regarded as tense field of reflected light that have no direct light, doesn't have it the vessels. The issue of the above mentioned third kind applies only through the taboo, the place of the first 9 sphere of the goof. However, from the tab down, which is the place of the not regarded as vessels of reception. What is he saying here? What is he speaking of either of the light or the vessel? We understand from here that what he means, that vessel is called a vessel when it receives direct light. What does it mean that a vessel is called a vessel that receives the direct light? A vessel is called a vessel meaning I wish to bestow. I wish to receive the abundance. Why? Because I wish to bestow. Meaning, what is a vessel? It says I wish to receive. I wish to use my will to receive. I wish to enjoy. But how? We learned that he can say that his intention is in order to bestow. And this is what he calls the third type of vessel. What is the second type of vessel? The same thing in the drew the light and made a screen and made a calculation how much it can receive, then also how much abundance it can receive. We see what is below the taboo. When it was in the rush of the degree, called the vessel the type the second type of vessel. Again, what is the first type of vessels? Before the restriction it received from the vessel called receiving in order to receive after the restriction it receives from the vessels which are in order to bestow. This is in the decree. What did or say? We learned a rule. If we learn, there's a screen phase 4 or on phase 3, meaning the degree divides into 2 parts. One part is called inner light and one part is called surrounding light. If the coarseness of the screen is phase 4, we say that part of the ket is received in its internality and part of the ket receives in internality. Why? We will learn that says what I can aim in order to bestow, this I will receive. But I cannot aim in order to bestow, this I will not receive. You find that what we had in the potential expands later in practice. In actuality, turns out that, as if we say that the third types of vessels is the part of the inner light, meaning vessels where it says I wish to receive internality. This is created as the light coming into the vessels. This is called the vessel. Why they receive the light? What is below the taboo? What did she say? I cannot receive in order to bestow. I do not wish to receive. It turns out that says what? I don't want it. So what is below the taboo? I do not wish to receive the abundance. They say these vessels, we say that they don't not want, not wish to bestow, not wish to receive the abundance, because it desire is equivalent to form it wants. Then the illumination of also shines in them. So the main foundation, what is it I does not want to receive? That's why these vessels are called. How does it say in it in the text? Again 69, the fourth kind is the vessels below the taboo regarded as tense field of reflected light. Each and every vessel says I do not wish to receive, since it says that it doesn't want it is considered reflected light. It reflects the light, by that it receives the abundance, and this abundance is not called direct light that comes directly. I want, but actually the opposite I do not want. That's what it says the above mentioned third kind, where it says I wish to receive in order to bestow, applies only through the tab, the place of the first ninth of the goof, called to inner lights, however from the taboo down, which is the place of the but does it say I do not want to receive. They are not regarded as vessels of reception, but does it receive it or not? Yes. If they receive, they are called vessels. Why do you call it as receiving only reflected light by returning the light? And they say, we do not wish to receive, by that they receive the abundance below the taboo. It's called of the ending. What does it say? I do not wish to receive. Is that a vessel or not a vessel? Yes. No. It doesn't want to receive. So he does not receive. Okay. Therefore, there's a vessel that says I wish to receive directly, because I wish to receive the abundance. Whereas below the taboo, what is it? How does she receive there? By saying she does not want it at all. Why doesn't it want it? If it wants, it will be in order to receive. There's no choice there. Therefore, specifically, its light is called reflected light. Since it does not come directly, it says that she doesn't want it. Whereas above the taboo, she does want it. Why does it want she want it? It wants to aim in order to bestow. If I say that below the taboo, it receives the light of the illumination of why is that called light? She receives the reflected light. Since this light that the vessel receives is not directly. Directly means that I wish to receive pleasure and enjoyment. This is directly. Why does it want it? It assumes that I wish to bestow the lower of the taboo. We learned this is the part from the where I cannot receive. There's no choice. If I will receive, it has to be in order to receive. In that case, what are the 10 of the ending that each and every I do not wish to receive? Why, I know if I will receive, it will be in order to receive, and I desire equivalence of form. I wish to be the abundance it receives. It's considered receiving indirectly. So what is it called? It's called reflected light. It receives the light of the illumination by what? As long as I say that I do not wish to receive. Whereas above the taboo, she says, I do wish to receive directly. Why? Because she can aim in order to bestow. I'll start item 70. What is the headline of item 70? The rejection and the lowing that the screen caused in potential, manifested in practice in the goof. Clothing is revealed from the P to the taboo, and the rejection is revealed from the taboo down. The reason is that the goof are regarded as the relation of the potential to the actual, or everything that is included in the as potential manifests in practice in the goof. Hence, these two operations that the screen causes in the tense of, namely the detainment of the upper light, so it does not expand into phase, for which is, and the clothing it performed by the force of the ascending reflected light, or both only, in potential, in the watch. However, the place of the manifestation of these two operations is in the goof. Potential clothing that was in the wash manifests in practice above the taboo of the goof, and the phase of detainment into mal manifests in actuality below taboo of the goof. He tells us something we already know. We discussed it many times. What is, after the restriction, the mar is called desire to receive. Drew the light back in. It's forbidden to receive into the mal, meaning into the will to receive. Therefore, Mutt made a calculation what it can receive, above its phase above receiving in order to receive, meaning those parts of that can receive in order to bestow. She will receive that. This is called clothing. In spirituality, receiving. He calls the receiver receiving clothing. Then it will be considered clothing and the rest with what he cannot aim in order to bestow. This will come to the malt meaning in receiving in order to receive. And he says this I do not wish to receive. This was in the in potential. Then he executes it in practice. The part that aim in order to bestow is called clothing. This is extends from the het to the taboo, and this is called to, meaning the lights come into the vessels, and this is called inner light. The light close in the internality of the vessels. The part that is in order to receive will come to meaning receiving in order to receive. This is called, and she says I do not wish to receive. It turns out that the part of the light that has to come to Mallet called receiving in order to receive remains on the outside, as surrounding light, except here. It calls it the T of the ending sins, each and every phase that he doesn't want to receive. For which reason the reason is equivalence of form, it won't its desire. Is said, we say inside this rejection, there's a light shining, meaning the light of the illumination of. He calls this light reflected light. What is reflected light? It receives when it wants to return, it doesn't want to receive. Whereas above the tarbo is called what it does wish to receive, it says I wish to, do wish to receive since I wish to bestow. This is what he scrutinizes in item 70. We'll move on to a workshop. With what impression, what inspiration, do we come out of the Rabash lesson, and what every friend should touch him, especially? Well, this is something beyond the ordinary. Rash is taking us, and these lights he simply cares for us. We keep talking about what connects what. Connect, everything has to connect. We wish to reach connection. And I heard that's what connects everything, the reflected light connects everything. Such beautiful depth, down to, beyond the taboo. She doesn't want it. He wants, she desires equivalence of form, it's true. And it was also the matter of actually, it's the same matter of the reflected light stems from the same point that was created, which is also the only place for choice, and it is capable of performing the action. And precisely from those sparks that fell and that were broken, seemingly a place was created, where indeed this point of choice can be created, and it is what makes these corrections with the reflected light. So, this is the full picture that Rabash portrays. It's truly beautiful, describes work in the spiritual vessel, and the work with the expansion of the reflected light. Yes, it's a reflected light. It's light that close in the created being, after receiving direct light on opposition to reflected light. And this is the light through which the created being bestows, outside of itself to all of creation, through the created beings to the Creator. And it's truly moving to delve into the definitions of our intentionality, the inner richness adds to the reflected light to be incorporated in it to build the vessel that will reflect the light. This issue of the relations between the lights also grabbed me. We'll go next part of the lesson. We're reading Z for all volume to it. 1. Particle, and the land will bring forth grass. Continuing from item 89. 89. This is why the Creator is called the great and mighty and terrible God, and those names are engraved above in the upper, included in the 4 letters of the name. The name that includes all the names. The incorporation of the ox of below with the lion of above is of the name God. The incorporation of the lion of below with the ox of above is Hay of Harver. The name mighty. The incorporation of the eagle of below with the lion of above is of the name great, and the face of a man of above included in all the animals of below that rose to. It is the bottom of the name terrible. The order of the animals of the lower Mever is different from the order of the animals in the upper Marver, since the order in the upper Marver is men, lion, ox, and eagle, and in the lower the order is ox, eagle, lion, and men, like the acronym Shinnon. This is so because from the right side, where there is, this is the order of the 4 animals, men, lion, eagle, and ox, where the ox is last. The animals of the other side, which are the damages on the left, are arranged in this manner. Show ox, eagle, lion, and men, which is Shinnon. It is written the vehicle of God are myriad thousands upon thousands, which are Shinnon. It is known that the upper Macarver is right, and the bottom is left. The reason for the difference is that the animals of below have no coupling in their place. Instead, they receive from the coupling of above. For this reason, before the ox is sweetened in its ascent to the right, no animal can rise there, because the multitude of judgments in the ox detain them. Hence the ox ascends first, then the eagle, the middle line, in whom there is left the swell, which must first be sweetened, and in the end, the line sends to the left of above. Then all are included in the face of a man of above, and this is why the order changed to Shinnon. Those forms Shinnon are engraved and decorated in the throne. The throne is engraved and embroidered with them, because the combinations of names and levels in one another are called embroidering, is similar to one who embroiders 2 forms that are different from one another over the 2 sides of a canvas. On the one side, a line, and on the other side an ox, and so forth. And since those names and animals came out in the throne, in the two faces and colours together. It is called embroidering, that the throne is embroidered with them. They were embroidered one to the right, and one to the left, one to the front, and one to the back. They are inscribed to the four directions of the world. The face of a lion is inscribed to the right, south. The face of an ox on the left is north. The face of an eagle from the fore, east, and the face of a man from behind, the west. They are also the four letters, because is south, and north, right, and left, and vav is east, west, face, and back. 90. When the throne of Sanan ascends for a coupling with Sanan, it is inscribed in four forms. Those four upper names carry the throne. For a coupling within, those four animals that unite with the four names, the great, mighty, and terrible God, are of the nut where that were sorted, and rose from being, and complementing tense for her for the nut were to be fit for a coupling within. When she lacks, she's unfit for a coupling. This is why those animals, the four, are regarded as carrying the throne. They are also called Vilanikir. Those four upper names carry the throne. For a coupling with the. This is because without them the throne would lack her spot. When they rise to her and connecting her, they carry her for a coupling, and the throne. The nuker is included in them during the coupling. That is, she's complemented by those names since they are that complement her 10, until the throne receives and gathers, plural of nef, and delightful pleasures in the coupling. Once she receives and gathers those pleasures and delights, she descends, full like a tree full of branches, and fruit on all sides. 91. Once the throne descends from the place of coupling to her own place, from the and below, those four forms, the four animals shin, come out depicted each in its depiction, shine engraved, shining, sparkling, and blazing, and they soar a seed in the world. Engraved means the measures of vessels for a receptacle. Shining means the measures of the levels of direct light. Sparkling means measures of levels of reflected light. Blazing means the illumination from below upward, like the fire that blazes from below upward. And these are illuminations of the left. They also soar a seed in the world. That is all the generations in the three worlds are imparted by them. Then the four animals are called jinan, as it is written, herb yielding seed. Herb means the animals which sow a seed in the world. 92. When the form of men, which includes all the forms, comes out, it is written about it a fruit bearing fruit. It is so, because man is male and female. A fruit tree is a female, and bearing fruit is a male. It is written whose seed is in it on the earth, meaning that it is that it emitted its seed only for the benefit of the earth whose seed is in it, meaning that man is forbidden to extract seed from it in vain. Therefore, studying today in the first part of the lesson, we will come back to study from the series about work above reason. Today, we will connect to a lesson from November 18, 2020, continuing with excerpt 23 from the document with excerpts about work with faith above reason. Please, Shalom, we are in a lesson on the topic of the work in faith above reason. We will read selected excerpts. We are in excerpt number 23. You can find the study material by clicking the book icon on the vote system, and you can ask questions on cab.tv. Relevant questions may be aired. Yesterday, the day I was following two phenomena. If I think about myself, how much I can be connected to the goal and to the group through the group to the goal, how much does that help me? And how much does it help me if I think this way about the friends, about how much they will be connected to the goal and I care for them? That is what is more beneficial. What is more important? What is stronger? Connecting me to the path so that I can truly not disconnect from it. Either I ask that the friends will not disconnect from the goal, or I'm concerned that as I'm concerned that they will not be disconnected from the goal, or I'm concerned that they will hold me so that I will not disconnect from the goal. So then it turns out that, well, there are times for this, there are times for that. However, in truth, it's more important that I will care for them, because my concern is then inside of them, and also I'm aiming them, pushing all of them together. I'm responsible for them. How do we feel that? How do we check that? To what extent I sometimes discover myself that I'm completely disconnected from the goal, disconnected from the study, disconnected from connection. I'm simply thrown out in this world. And when I start searching, I do not discover what I can get hold on. How can I reach back to the right connection so that I can feel myself that I'm oriented, that I'm in some connection with spirituality. But I'm confused, dazed, and with respect to spirituality, I seemingly have no thoughts, no emotions. And later on, when I do find some connection with the friends, I think about it, I read or hear something. Then I start to receive joy and confidence.